UEFA have decided that if Gianni Infantino goes ahead with this proposal, they will boycott all FIFA tournaments. So UEFA saying to Gianni Infantino, enough is enough. We're not going to let you do this. And if you go ahead and do this, even if you think you have the votes to carry the day and go ahead with these controversial proposals, we will not in the future play in any of your tournaments.
Start with these 5 names: Spain, the current world champions, and the team that just lifted the trophy, then France, England, Germany, and Italy. These are 5 of the biggest, richest, and most successful football nations on the planet. Now imagine every one of them sending FIFA the exact same message: we will not be showing up to the 2030 World Cup. This wasn't a warning. It wasn't a bargaining move or some dramatic bluff. It was an official vote placed on the record. And here's the part that could leave Gianni Infantino seriously worried. Those 5 countries are only the beginning. They aren't the whole story. Those names are just 5 out of 55 because this isn't about a handful of nations stepping away. Reports say every UEFA member stood together in one room and voted the same way, showing a united position across European football. So what could have pushed the most influential confederation in world football to even consider missing the biggest tournament in the sport? The answer is more surprising than most people expected. Earlier that week, Infantino revealed a formal proposal. This wasn't a rumor and it wasn't a leaked document. FIFA presented a plan to place the commercial rights for the World Cup and several other FIFA competitions into a brand new company called FIFA Forward Enterprise. The proposal would then allow roughly 20% of that company to be sold to private investors in a deal reportedly valued at around $20 billion. Think about what that could mean. The idea would give private investment firms a stake in the business surrounding the World Cup's commercial rights, and reports say one of the investors connected to the proposal is a fund linked to Joshua Kushner, the founder of Thrive Capital. If that last name sounds familiar, there's a reason. Joshua Kushner is the brother of Jared Kushner, who is the son-in-law of the President of the United States. Put all the corporate talk aside, and this is the basic idea. The biggest sporting event on the planet, built over generations by players, clubs, and fans from every continent, could have part of its commercial business connected to a private investment fund with reported ties to people close to the White House. It's a proposal that immediately got people talking and raised plenty of questions. FIFA didn't present it as selling off part of its biggest asset. Of course it didn't. Gianni Infantino described it as a major opportunity. His message to FIFA's 211 member associations was simple: approve the proposal, and more money could flow back into football around the world. FIFA says each association could receive more than $80 million over the next 10 years, while smaller football nations could also see a major increase in development funding. On paper, that sounds like a huge financial boost, but there was another detail that quickly grabbed attention. Along with the proposal came a deadline. Member associations were given until September 19th to make their decision, leaving just over 6 weeks to vote on a plan that could reshape how the World Cup's commercial rights are managed for years to come. Reports also claimed the confederations were not consulted before the proposal was officially announced. Instead, they were presented with the plan after it had already been put forward, and that appears to be what caused the strongest reaction. Football's governing bodies don't usually appreciate being presented with a major decision and then being asked to approve it under a tight deadline. That frustration reportedly spread quickly across Europe. UEFA reacted first, calling an emergency virtual meeting with all 55 of its member associations to discuss the proposal and decide how to respond together.
Is actually a proposal, an offer. It's part of a democratic process, a consultation process, and above all, it is an opportunity, but not an obligation.
According to reports, more than 50 member associations spoke during the meeting, and by the time it ended, the result was unanimous. UEFA's members reportedly agreed they could boycott the 2030 World Cup, along with other FIFA competitions, if the proposal continues moving forward. They also called for FIFA to drop the plan and provide firm assurances that its competitions would not be open to private ownership in the future. UEFA summed up its position with one clear statement: the World Cup cannot be treated as an investment product. That sentence captures the heart of the entire debate. Supporters of the proposal argue it could unlock major financial benefits for football, while critics believe the World Cup should remain outside private investment. That's where the disagreement becomes impossible to ignore. For many people across the football world, the World Cup is far more than a commercial asset. It's a tournament built through generations of unforgettable moments, legendary players, and passionate supporters. That's why this proposal has sparked such a strong reaction from some of the sport's biggest organizations. Now think about what a European boycott could actually mean if it ever became reality. This isn't just about a symbolic protest. If nations like Spain, France, England, Germany, Italy, Portugal, the Netherlands, Croatia, and many other UEFA members were absent, the tournament would look dramatically different. Many believe the value, prestige, and global appeal of the competition would be heavily affected. That's why this dispute could have consequences long before the 2030 World Cup ever begins. The impact of this dispute could reach far beyond the men's game. Before the 2030 World Cup even arrives, FIFA's schedule includes the 2027 Women's World Cup in Brazil, along with several women's and youth tournaments and qualification events. If reports of a boycott were ever carried out, some of the first competitions affected could involve women's and youth football this autumn. That possibility has led many critics to argue that players who had no role in this disagreement could end up feeling the effects first. Some of FIFA's critics have even described that possibility as turning women's football into a bargaining chip. It's a claim that has added even more controversy to an already heated debate and raised difficult questions about who would ultimately be impacted if tensions continue to grow. Then the story grew even bigger. It wasn't only UEFA raising concerns. CONCACAF, the confederation representing North America, Central America, and the Caribbean, also held an emergency meeting to discuss the proposal. According to reports, the organization rejected the plan and criticized the process behind it. While CONCACAF did not announce a boycott, its reported concerns focused on the decision-making process, the short voting deadline, and what it viewed as a lack of sufficient consultation before such a major proposal was introduced. The reaction didn't stop there. Reports also said the U.S. Soccer Federation publicly supported CONCACAF's position. Soon after, attention shifted to Asia. The Asian Football Confederation, which includes 47 member associations and has often been viewed as an important supporter of FIFA leadership, reportedly issued its own statement expressing solidarity with UEFA and CONCACAF. The AFC also called for an urgent review of how major decisions of this scale are handled within FIFA's governance structure. Now look at the numbers because they're what made this story explode. UEFA has 55 member associations, CONCACAF has 41, the AFC has 47.
Too little of football's growing commercial value reaches the parts of the game that need it most. Capturing that value requires additional expertise, additional insight, distinct from governing and developing the sport. Fans from the corners of these 4 countries of the world and many, many other fans from everywhere in the world would gain immeasurably from this game-changing potential.
Together, that's 143 of FIFA's 211 member associations that reports say have raised objections or concerns about the proposal in some form. Whether that translates into votes against the plan would ultimately depend on FIFA's formal voting process, but the figures alone have fueled intense speculation about whether the proposal has enough support to move forward. Then the situation became even more dramatic. Reports said Carlos Cordero, a senior advisor to Gianni Infantino and FIFA's representative on the White House task force for the 2026 World Cup, resigned from his role in protest. He also reportedly encouraged other senior officials to speak out if they shared similar concerns. That immediately sparked fresh speculation about growing divisions inside FIFA itself. Soon after, attention turned to FIFA's next presidential election. For months, many observers believed Infantino would face little or no serious opposition. But with this proposal creating so much controversy, reports began suggesting that a credible challenger could emerge. While nothing has been confirmed, the conversation around FIFA's leadership suddenly became far more active than it had been just days earlier. For many football fans, this debate also feels familiar. Back in 2021, Infantino supported the idea of holding the Men's World Cup every 2 years, a proposal that faced strong resistance from UEFA and many others before it eventually lost momentum. More recently, the Men's World Cup expanded to 48 teams, and there has also been discussion in football circles about the possibility of expanding the tournament even further in the future. Critics argue there is a clear pattern. Major ideas are often announced at the highest level before football's wider community has had much time to debate them publicly. Sometimes those proposals move ahead, while others face intense resistance. This latest plan appears to have become one of the most controversial yet. At the same time, it's important to understand FIFA's side of the argument. FIFA says the goal is not simply to generate more money, but to invest more of it back into football around the world. The organization argues that additional funding could significantly help smaller federations that don't have the financial strength of major leagues like the Premier League or La Liga. Infantino has also described the idea as a proposal for members to consider rather than something they are required to accept. FIFA strongly rejected that description of the proposal, insisting that nobody is selling football. And to be fair, private investment in sports is nothing new. Around the world, investment firms have already backed clubs, leagues, and competitions, and in many cases, that funding has helped improve facilities, expand businesses, and support long-term growth. Some people have even argued that Europe's biggest football nations, which already benefit from enormous financial resources, are not completely neutral when changes could affect their own influence within the game. That's an important point to keep in mind because this debate has more than one side.
Because it will transform football in their countries. But again, it is simply a choice for our members.
There are genuine questions about how football should be funded in the future and how money should be shared between the biggest and smallest associations. Those are real issues that deserve serious discussion rather than quick headlines. However, critics argue that this proposal ran into trouble for reasons beyond the investment itself. They point out that FIFA recently reported record financial results following one of the most successful World Cups in its history. Because of that, many questioned why the organization felt the need to explore selling a stake in the commercial business connected to its biggest competitions in the first place. Others also focused on how the proposal was introduced. According to reports, FIFA gave member associations just over 6 weeks to consider a deal valued at around $20 billion, while critics claimed the confederations were not consulted before the announcement. For many opponents, the process became just as controversial as the proposal itself, creating frustration over transparency, consultation, and decision-making. In the end, this debate reaches beyond one person or one vote. For millions of supporters, the World Cup represents decades of history, unforgettable moments, and dreams shared across every continent. Fans fill the stadiums, smaller nations battle through years of qualifying, and players dedicate their careers for a chance to compete on football's biggest stage. That's why emotions have become so intense, because many people believe the future of the tournament deserves careful discussion before any major changes are made. Many critics see FIFA as the caretaker of world football, responsible for protecting the game's biggest competitions for future generations. That's why this proposal has sparked such a powerful reaction across the football world. According to reports, Infantino expected enough support from FIFA's 211 member associations for the proposal to move forward. Instead, more than 140 associations have reportedly expressed objections or major concerns, leaving the plan facing an uncertain future. Reports also suggest that senior figures have stepped away from their roles, while questions continue to grow about what FIFA's next move will be. Will the proposal be withdrawn? Will it be revised? Or will FIFA continue trying to win support before the deadline? Those answers could shape the future of football governance for years to come. So now it's your turn. Do you think this was a genuine attempt to bring more investment into world football that was poorly communicated? Or do you believe it was one of the biggest political missteps FIFA has ever made? Let everyone know where you stand, because this debate is far from over. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear every perspective. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other football fans so they can join the conversation too. And don't forget to turn on notifications, because we'll be covering every major update as this story develops. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.